Hey guys, Mitch and Toddy here for another episode of the U Spray podcast. Welcome back, Toddy. How are you, bro? Nice to see you. Man, I'm always good, you know me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that clip you did the other day when you sang him a song. That was good.
Yeah, do you like that? And the October special. Yeah. Pointed Sisters, great hit. So excited. Yeah. might have to go back to the karaoke bars in Newcastle and sharpen up my skills again. But or just keep it to the shower, mate. You know, voice of an angel. But some people think differently. But hey, that's all right. Yeah, sometimes you got to sing makes you happy.
Huh?
Yeah,
Don't get ripped about what everybody else thinks.
Yeah. Speaking of singing, bro, something people don't know about you. You're pretty good on the guitar.
Once upon a time, I was pretty good at guitar.
Yeah.
You don't get to play much anymore.
Yeah.
Kids keep you busy, but
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I was a bit of a
Hmm.
old weapon on the X.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah. Do you ever crack it out anymore?
Not very often. You know.
Yeah.
If I do, it's just acoustic to
Yeah.
play the boys. Young Finney's got him a little classical guitar and let him go. So I've been kind of giving him some pointers here and there.
Yeah.
Get him get into it. Seems to love it, but
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was so bad at music at school. Far out. I remember playing the recorder.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so bad at it. Far out.
Buns
Like,
for days.
Man, I remember we did like as part of, I think it was like year 10, because it was your last year, you had to do music and then choose the electives, and we had like a performance, right? Like I was that bad. Right, I got the triangle. Right, on the triangle. And look, to my credit, I played the triangle like an absolute goat.
Anyway.
Yeah, better than him. You know what I mean? It's well, anyone that's played the triangle, it's not as easy as it looks, and I took my responsibility very, very seriously.
I reckon it'd be much like Will Ferrell playing the cowbell.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's a special type of person.
Yeah. So I actually would like to learn how to play something eventually. I actually think it'd be pretty cool to learn how to play the piano.
Mm.
Yeah. Like that'd be cool. I remember like a few times when I've gone to the US, man, one of the funnest times that I've had was going to the piano bars, the dueling piano bars. If anyone has been to one, they know what I'm talking about. Oh, man, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, such a good night. Yeah.
Just reminds you how untalented we are.
Yeah.
Guys are so good.
Yeah, that was so good. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I remember it was when was it? I think the 49ers were in the playoffs, and I was in San Francisco with some mates, and yeah, the whole town was buzzing, and we went to this, and it was just crazy. Yeah, so good times. But one thing I want to go into today is had this scenario this morning when a guy came into the shop and he said, "Mate, I'm after a 519 tip." Yeah. Did you hear the conversation? Were you there?
No,
You were probably there, but not listening as usual. So. But anyway, he said he wanted a 519 tip. I said, "No worries, mate. Here's one of our low pressure tips." He goes, "Oh no, I don't want a low pressure tip. I want a high pressure tip." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Oh, why's that?" He's like, "Oh, well, I'm spraying, I'm spraying some roof membrane today, and I want to put it on thick." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Yeah, I really like using the blue Graco tips." And I said, "Oh, well, that's not what we recommend." He said, "Oh, why is that?" And I said, "Well, with our low overspray tips, droplet size are bigger, you can spray at a lower pressure." And he goes, "No, but like I want coverage, I want to spray at high pressure." I was like, "Well, it's not, it's going to cover way better because the droplet sizes are bigger on, low pressure tips. And high pressure tips, obviously the droplets are smaller, a lot thinner, but cranking it up higher said you're going to get overspraying, a lot of overspray, a lot of wastage, and you could have some issues with flashing because that overspray will settle back on the roof where you've been. He goes, no, I don't want that. And he just could not be convinced any which way. And like once we give a recommendation, look, each to their own. It's, as we spoke about last podcast about applicators warranty, whatever works for you works for you. It's your business, it's your life. You can do whatever you want, and we're just here for a recommendation. And the thing is, for this guy in particular, he's probably going to use 2 or 3 drums more than he should have, and trying to. And I was even trying to explain like the dollar value, how much money you can save with that. And he's just like, nah, this is how I've done it forever. This is what I'm going to do it. And it's so interesting, people being open to change. And as we've spoken about a few times, when we do give guys low pressure tips to try after they've used, the like a yellow Wagner tip or a blue Graco tip, they hate it. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to talk a bit more about that. I know that you have things to say on that, but I just thought it was an interesting conversation that some people are just sort of not really open to change.
I think, man, when you're talking about that, I just think about all the different scenarios where I've dealt with people that are sort of stuck in their ways, specifically here in Australia, because I didn't get a whole lot of experience there, but I feel like, considering how much you see it here, it must be pretty common here. And
well, bro, you want to see how common it is? That post that we did on social media, on Facebook, that has 250 250 comments.
About you looking at him?
Yeah, they're not saying that, but literally, going after you on about your 410, 410 to 210 tip. But people have got something to say, and very aren't willing to change. But
but I think genuine people, like people I deal with on a daily basis, like I think about the lack of knowledge, the lack of places to get knowledge, the lack of help, lack of support, lack of everything, and people are sort of left to figure it out themselves, much like you did. And I can only imagine there's a point where it's like, man, it took me so freaking long to get to this point. I know this 519 tip does a job. I'm not stepping out of that box because nobody's, I don't want to. I've spent way too much money, way too much time figuring this out. Whatever, like you said, it's your business. You got to sort it. And so it's like I can actually sympathize with that a little bit, because it's like, a lot of the times there's no one there to help you. Have a problem once, you try to call your rep. If you do get him, he'll say, "Oh, I'll call you back in 2 seconds." Bye. And it's like. So it's like you figure it out. You just have to figure it out yourself. Is it the right way? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. I don't know. But it's like, I can see a scenario where it's like, bro, I just know this works. Please don't, I have to be done today. Please don't fuck with my day. And so I can definitely see that as a thing. I definitely, just people there that just muscle through, and people there that are still open minded. But I can totally appreciate the fact that, bro, no, I don't have the time to think about this, and there might be some money in it for him, but what I've built and established is perfect for me. I don't need it. So, that was what I was thinking about when you said that, because you definitely, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Block. I'm on annual leave now. So it's like it's there's that side. There's also side you're talking about, people that are just keyboard warriors, have nothing better to do. They're the king, but they're just sitting at home on Facebook and managing their kingdom. So that's what I was sort of thinking about. That's part of the reason why I love what we're doing, because there's people out there that have been just screwed over, effed around all the time, and it's like, we don't want to do that. We genuinely don't want to do that. We genuinely want to go, bro, I know that sucks. Let's help you, and then we'll get you on track, and you'll save more money. You'll make more money. You won't need these guys anymore. We'll help you build that confidence back to where you remember you were the man. And this is why your rep chased you for his business, not the other way around. You don't go chasing fake businesses for their business. They chase you for their business, and then they make you feel like you need them when it's crunch time.
Yeah.
That's the case. So
Another thing I want to talk about, obviously, we just come out of winter and we've heard, you know, guys that are spraying doors and stuff, right? Having trouble with little bubbles on their doors and it popping. And it looks like, it's almost like you've sprayed the door and your immediate thought is that it's had a reaction to something on the door, but you've already undercoated it, and yeah, it's like you've gone over it with a foam roller, but there's these little
Pinpricks.
pinpricks. Yeah, pinpricks. Why does that occur, and how can you avoid it?
I'm sure there's a lot of reasons. Like you said, the most common one is solvent burn, which is where you wipe it with a rag that's got methyl or something, or wax or silicone or whatever.
Which is common with, pre-finished green doors. With anyone that's had to deal with them.
Yeah. But I think the most common cause is all paints are acrylic now, water-based enamel's, water-based paints, whatever. We've been crammed into this price war where people want to get stuff done as fast as possible, and so they, in the summertime, they try to get away with one coat. Is that okay? Okay, I don't know. I'm not a paint expert, but what happens is they put it on thicker than normal, and then the top, because it's so hot, the top will actually start to dry, and the bottom's not. And so because there's so much paint there, it's gonna let the air and the moisture out, and that comes through as a pinprick. So to fix that, you just gotta put on an extra light, like you're supposed to do anyways. And so it's like you put on thin, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Do your multiple coats like you're supposed to. But it's like, I get why they're doing it, because we're not being educated on our personal value, and we're all quoting the same job. But it's like, so you have to try and cut corners or find ways to claw back some margin. But it's like, dude, if you explain this to the person, it's avoidable. If we're quoting the same job, it's you can't really do that. And the person that wants to do the best usually gets shafted the most. So, but yeah, that's typically what it would be. So it'd be putting on too thick, and then the air and water coming through and causing those to pop.
Well, I used to be worried about that. I know we spoke about thinning on a previous episode, but putting, some water in your aqua enamel and spraying and that possibly happening.
I've heard people say, like, because the airless gun, you get the jet creates wind and air, and maybe a bit of air gets trapped in there. But I don't know if that's true, but definitely would be, put it out there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We're actually talking about this in training yesterday, where we're talking to Eddie some advice around Dulux aqua enamel, which we know has problems with sagging and running. And I think it was a trainer or someone telling him that he should thin it out.
That's a recommendation for sure.
Recommend to thin it out. And a product that already sags and runs, right, told to thin it out. And I was like, that makes no sense to me. How is that going to improve running and sagging by adding?
No,
by thinning it out.
They recommend thinning to get rid of the tailing.
Yeah, right.
It's like, which is hilarious, because it's like it's a gold nugget for you guys. So they fine finish low pressure tips, great, work really, really good. But there's this assumption, because it says it's fine finish low pressure, that all paint should spray at low pressure. But unfortunately, that's not the case. In many finishing products, industrial products, they all need high pressure to spray. And the thing is, if you're spraying a door, anybody that sprays doors professionally and really good, get that pressure really high. That's the only time I tell people to try and get over 2,000 psi. So aqua enamel won't atomize under 2,000 psi. So they say thin it, 10%, 5%, whatever, and then you can spray at low pressure. It's like, well, why? Like, get the pressure up, like a normal person. So you crank the pressure up, forget the low pressure bit, get the pressure up, get rid of those tails, and apply it properly. But they're fixing the problem. They don't understand that because of the nature of aqua enamel, it is more prone to running. People don't, they probably know that, but they don't consider that when they're recommending, this is how you get rid of tails, thin it out. No, get that pressure up, get a slightly bigger tip, get rid of the red filter, put a yellow filter in it. Don't thin it unless you absolutely have to. And then you could avoid that. Then it's like, oh, sweet, that's great advice, thank you. Then they go and spray it, and then it runs, and it's like, whose fault is that? It's your fault. It's not their fault. They gave you a recommendation. You're the painter. You should know better. But it's like, It's always your fault.
Yeah.
So
Well, because it's funny too, because when you think about asking someone in store, what's the chances they were a painter? What's the chances they've sprayed the product personally? They're
very low.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
That's
Yeah.
why I hate like the whole warranty thing, bro. Because remember, I don't know if I've said this before, but I told you a story about my mate who did the 2-part epoxy floor, and the first thing they said to him, "Did laminated? Oh, did you follow spec? Did you put it on thick enough?" I'm like, yeah. So then it's like you got this paint rep who's never held the paintbrush coming out and tell you, "Did you prep it properly?" Anyways, they took it away and they measured it. Oh, you did apply it properly. Here's a recommendation: put it on extra thin this time. That's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But it's like, that's what it is. And it's like,
Oh, you know what I just heard then lately? It's like you blatantly put too much paint on. you know, right?
it's so
Fuck.
wild to me, man. It's like, if you were, the thing is, people call me specifically because they know I know this shit. They don't call, people who you would naturally assume would know more than me. Not because they don't know anything. I'm not gonna call, why would I call a paint manufacturer's rep who last month used to sell render, and then the month before that was selling stain, and the month before that was selling brushes and rollers. It's like, how the heck are these? It's just crazy.
You know what baffles me, and unfortunately, since we have a lot of our own customers that take up our time that we support, is guys that go out and instead of buying one of our machines, they go buy a Graco or Wagner, and then something goes wrong, and they're ringing us for advice and to help them. I'm like, mate, I can't help. Ring the place, go back to where you bought it from, send it to a service center, wait for it, stay on the line with Graco. You know what I mean? You can't have both. Yeah. And that's so funny. Like, even when guys have bought, Wagner backpacks and ring you and ask you, about it. What it's like.
It's actually
Where's the,
pretty-
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're talking
Where's
about
the,
that.
yeah, where's
I was like, Rob,
the guy, maybe the guy that sold it to you, should be telling this? What are you ringing?
Maybe call like
What
that.
are you ringing me for? Like, it's nice to get the phone calls,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah.
we've got our own stuff that we're providing this service to our customers.
You are Wagner. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wagner, remember? I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I remember.
It's funny. It's like, oh yeah, I just bought a V-Dub, but I'm ringing Audi for advice on it.
But
Now-
that's a good thing. Going back to what you're saying, though, like, I think one of the reasons why we're having such great success here in such a short amount of time is, like, from a spray point of view, people call us specifically because they want an answer, and we can give them the answer back to 100% by experience.
Yeah.
It's not textbook bullshit that just maybe works in America or maybe works in the freaking Russia or whatever. And then it's like, I need help with application. Talk to this guy. Mate, what would you do in this scenario? I would do this, and this. How do you know that? Because I did this and it didn't work. This works.
Yeah.
It's like, that's way more valuable than calling a freaking paint rep. Boats yesterday.
How do you know that? I got overspray on the car. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
That's the thing. Is it's like, there's nowhere to learn. We can teach people because we've been there and we've done it and we know how to do it. And people will say, yeah, well, my FFLP tip works great on the externals. Like, have fun when it fades next month.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whatever. Don't be calling me there. Don't go blaming your paint rep. And the funny thing is like, he might have got the recommendation from his paint rep or his spray rep. But it's like, at the end of the day, whose fault is it? It's your fault, which I hate, because it's like, you obviously know something, but it's like, you don't know that. And what will happen is it'll fade. Your customers will hate it. It'll ruin your brand. It'll ruin your reputation. And that's completely avoidable just by,
Well, bro, we're in trouble when we go to these trade days and guys from the other spray gun manufacturers are asking us questions, and we're also assisting them in demos. That was an eye opener to me. I'm expecting to learn something, and then the specific time I'm thinking of was when you stepped in to help. Man, so funny. And then wowee. But thanks for joining us, guys. That is another episode of the U Spray podcast. Until next time, keep spraying.